Just wanted to start off with like this opening slide about what you guys think this is. So if anyone can write it down on the chats or just like voice it out, that'd be cool. So the options are meringue, shaving cream, or whipping cream. So do let me know. Meringue, Meenakshi, Varshita, shaving cream, whipping cream. I'll give like 10 seconds left. Cool. So whipping cream. No, okay. So I will. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh. I'm on the huge noob at this. Sorry. Whipping cream. Okay, so this is actually shaving cream. So this was done for a shoot that I did like 2 years ago with Fabel Chocolates, and they wanted like a nice, colorful pop of smears happening throughout the photo. And they wanted it done with chocolate, which was definitely not possible. And they wanted small meringues, colorful ones, and we weren't able to source it then. So we came up with the idea of using shaving cream, and we put some ink and different kinds of colors, basically food liquid, and put it on a pastry bag and made these. This isn't the best photo, but this is the only one I have. So, so I want to start first actually thanking all of you to come here. I can't believe there are like 30 people who want to see me talk. That's crazy. And I'm going to start by my journey. Basically, I wasn't really into food photography. I had no idea what it was. Just around 2 years ago when I was in college, I used to do a lot of photography, and a lot of my internships were based on doing product photography, stuff like calendars and stationery books I used to do for like various brands. And it was just that. But when I was in college, I started getting into a lot of food. Like I used to make food all the time. I used to be thinking in class what I'd make when I go back home for dinner. And back then it was just fun. I had my one DSLR camera or even a phone. I used to just take, hi guys, like on stories. I made this today. This was my lunch, and this is some prawn curry rice thing I made. And eventually when oh no, sorry. Eventually, when college ended and I was very confused on what I wanted to do, I realized I only liked two things, which was making food and taking photos. And even taking photos, it was like it's just there, a part of me. And so I applied to a lot of places, and I got into this food photography studio that was based in Bangalore. And that's where I've basically learned everything. Eventually, I basically got the job because I have a very passionate love for noodles, and I talked to my boss about it for 30 minutes, and that was my interview. And then he was like, okay, yeah, you can join. And that's how it happened. And initially, he saw that I don't really have a huge knack for all of these things, but I was very passionate about it. And so he employed me for social media, and I genuinely haven't done that since the first month of joining. And I did everything else besides that. So this bowl of prawn and rice ended up 1 year later into this Rajma bowl that I learned from styling at various places. This was in June 2020 last year. Another one of my favorite photos is this kimchi noodle I made in 2017. I was really into Korean food back then. I used to cook that all the time. And it's plated on a white plate that's huge, and you can't even see the kimchi because it's covered by this enormous egg on top. And this was in 2017. And by 2018, you can see that I'm starting to understand a little bit about photography. I'm using depth. But this, I think I made japchae, and you can't see the glass noodles and you can't see anything at all because the bowl is so deep. But you can tell that it's some form of Asian food because I used a prop, and that prop I was chopsticks, and it shot on a bed sheet and a natural light as always. And this is 2019, where I styled for later half of 2019, where I styled for a restaurant, and this is some Thai salad, and you can see there's a huge difference in the way I started approaching food, because you can see that I've started adding things like chilies, I've started adding peanuts, I've started adding coriander. It's a lot about the food now, but also the kind of story that goes around the food. So what is food styling and who is a food stylist? So basically food styling in the commercial world is basically anything you have to do to make the food look absolutely appealing. You want to have that hunger factor when somebody sees it, and you want to make it look super drool worthy. So that is what food styling is, when you're focusing on just the food. However, if you are a food stylist and if you want to be one, doesn't necessarily mean that you're a chef or that you can even cook well, because it's mostly about the hacks and what you do to the food to make it look edible, even though it most of the time really isn't. And for example, one of the things is that if you know a chef, there's a high possibility that they're not a food stylist, because they style for plating. A food stylist is someone who plates and styles for the camera, and that's completely different. So as a food stylist, because I know a lot of you asked me this and a lot of you wanted to know how to make it professionally and what it is like to do this as a daily job. So usually my day goes somewhat like this. I usually get an email, or I'm a part of a meeting from a client where they ask me to make to style a certain photo. Sometimes they have a photographer, sometimes they want me to be the photographer, sometimes they want me to make the food, do the styling, as well as take a photo. So it's an entire huge different range, and like 3 different occupations altogether. So for this particular client, they wanted 27 recipes. That means they have 27 products that they want me to shoot. So a reply from me would be like what kind of products there are, what are the colors of the products, what are the different type of food they want to look at. And once we have something like that sorted out and we've agreed, and I know basic about what's happening, what they want, we go on making a mood board, which is basically something that is very very intensive, but I've taken a very small one. So this shoot was done for Paperboard, I think last month, and this is one of their chickies. Their brief was that they wanted 5 products and they wanted it styled 5 different ways, and they wanted 5 photographs. So while making this mood board as a food stylist, I was looking at the product, the color of the product, and with the photographer, we came to a decision that we wanted to make it an eye level. And we found this reference, which we thought would work for their chikki. And this is what it basically looked like. So first, we decided on the kind of background we wanted to go for. For this one, we wanted a white pastel, bluey, grayish color. Then we also wanted some sort of elements to it to show what kind of chikki it was. So right here, we'd have jaggery and chikki crumbs. Over here, where the milk is, we wanted to have something like a glass jar filled with groundnut, and this is the kind of reference we also put, so the client would know exactly what we're doing. And over here, where that steel tray thing, baking tray is, we said we'd put a photo. So this is what happens, and instead of 1 photo, this usually can span up to like 50, 60 photos, and this is what happens when you make a mood board. So next, after the client hopefully likes the mood board and we've shifted across, we fix dates for the shoot, we fix the budgets, and we then proceed to go on shopping for props, backgrounds and ingredients. Like over here, you can see we went wood shopping, and I didn't know this was a part of the job at all. This was my first week working there, and I was so confused why we were going to the wood shop. And I remember my boss spent like some 2 hours deciding and looking at which plant he loves the best. And when we went back to the studio, we painted the planks white and blue and whatever color the client wanted. And then shopping for props is a huge part of the job, and also like a favorite. Most of the times we just get off things from Amazon. when the pandemic is happening, but when it's not, we usually do go out and go to different shops. We look for small bowls, teacups, whatever is required for the shoot. And a lot of the times we do get ingredients, like for this chicky shoot, we got groundnuts. And over here in this photo, we have a lot of fruits happening, which we bought. So if you're making food for the client, there's a huge possibility that you will have to make it, either wake up super early in the morning and prepare for it, or you might have to just make it a day before. So for example, just last month, we had a Betty Crocker shoot. So around 60 pancakes were made for that shoot, and somewhat around 5 to 6 cakes. And it's really sad, but only 5 pancakes were chosen for that shot. It was a video shot, so of course that means it's a lot more prep and a lot more food making. So that is something that was done beforehand. Like the cake was made beforehand. The pancake was made on the go, so it was very, very stressful. And when the shoot day happens, the first thing I do is go to the market early in the morning and get as many fresh ingredients I possibly can. So things like coriander, basil, all those herby herby leaves and everything is something you want to consider getting in the morning, because if you get it one day before, it starts wilting. And the thing with fresh greens is that you have to put them in ice cold water if you want to preserve them throughout the day. So that's also something you have to be ready for. You have to have those ice cubes beforehand, prepared one day before, because you know you're going to be using coriander. And after you've come back from shopping all the vegetables, you start setting up for the props and you start setting up for the ingredients. Like in this one, we had all the ingredients ready, and this ingredients, there were 2 tables. This was for the kitchen, and there was another one at the studio room where the shoot was being held. And a lot of the times it gets really messy, as you can see in these 2 photos. And the rule is not to make it like that, but it ends up like that. Like you want to have props separate, ingredients separate, and everything in their own places. But at the end of the day, it becomes a huge mess. And it's absolutely the worst part about the job. Because at the end of the day, you only have to clean up and pack up everything and take it back home. And it's very, very messy. And shoots usually have no time. Sometimes there are nice shoots, like the sticky shoot lasted like 4 hours. That was like a first. But sometimes it can go from 8 in the morning till like 12 in the night, 1. You never know, because taking one shot easily takes 1 hour. So that is the life of a food stylist. Also, if you have any questions, just put it on the chat, and I want to make it more interactive, because otherwise it's just me talking. I have like my huge Bisleri bottle next to me because it's going to get very tiring. Okay, no questions so far, so I will move up ahead.
So I was just wondering, like, what do you do? Like, I mean, what did you do with the rest of those 55 pancakes?
Oh my God. It's so a lot of the food goes to dogs.
Okay.
But those pancakes were absolutely inedible because they were
Yeah.
filled with glycerine and all sorts of oil and wannabe maple syrups, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
just it was a lot of it was thrown, and
Yeah, yeah.
that is just like, that is something you kind of have to deal with, but it's something that's always ethically there at the back of your mind.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
So that is something that does happen. But a lot of the times, I'll tell you, like
Yeah.
eventually, but a lot of the times we do want to minimize the wastage. That's where you see us adding rocks on below khichidis, because we don't want to waste an entire bowl of khichdi. We just
Yeah.
waste a portion of it. So that's when all of these things start coming into play. Okay. Another question. What if you went over budget with the prop? How to convey the same to the client? Oh, for this, that's an interesting question. So for this, if you have, if you're write it down on your invoice. Like we always, like for me also, I always have a budget for the props, no matter who it is, because you never know if you need one or not. So always put a budget in your invoice for just props. I do it for props, backgrounds, and ingredients, and I put it in one go. Okay, next, golden rules of food styling, which I try to follow, and I think everyone should. Doesn't always happen. So number one, never eat the food, especially the hero shot. So for people who don't know, the hero shot is something that is the main center focus attraction of your photo. And there is a huge chance that you've tempered with it, you've touched it like 10,000 times, you've put oil onto it, you've put glycerin onto it. It's absolutely inedible. Never eat that unless you want to be hospitalized. Just don't do that. But many of the times I have, and I've gotten sick, so don't do it. Be careful with the appliances you use. I can't stress this enough. Like my entire hand is just filled with burn marks because from a shoot that was 2 months ago, because I am terrible at using a heat gun, any form of blowtorch, anything fire. It just, it's a bad idea. So really, really be careful with all of that. And another thing, just for stylists, and even if you're at home and if you're doing this, always be at the level at whichever the angle the photographer has placed the camera. For example, if the photographer is doing a top shot, you want to style it like a top shot. So you can stand up and style it looking from that angle. So always make sure that's the case, because every time you style, every angle has a different type of styling. So if you're doing at home, if you're doing just an eye level, make sure your eyes are also the same pointing as the camera lens. And like I've said before, have a separate table where you keep the props and a separate table for food. Try doing that, it's a good practice. And never ever keep food or props or additional things exactly where the shot is being done, because that can be very harmful. You might break things, it might get in between the shot, and you don't want to do that. Have a plan. Like I said, the mood board is incredibly important. And even at home, I'll go through this later, but having a plan and knowing what you're doing is necessary. So at the sixth point, look for the best produce. Like I said, you want to have the best looking coriander. Sometimes the coriander really makes the shot. Like you wouldn't understand because it's so tiny, but when you do put it there, it really changes things and it gives a completely different freshness and a different story to your photo. So make sure you're using nice, fresh looking produce, because otherwise it shows. And have a styling kit ready. And I will tell you what a styling kit is right at the end. Okay, another question. Do you click photos from all the angle, or do you pre-decide from which angle to shoot? So like I said, this happens in the planning only. Like in the mood board that was there before, the angle is already there. It's an eye level. So in my head, I've already planned and I've already looked for a reference, which this one is taken out of Pinterest. And I know this is the angle I'm going to be styling at. So I have it ready in my head. Thing is, you should do all sorts of pre-planning beforehand, and you don't want to use a lot of your brain when you're at the shoot. That shouldn't be it. It should be there clear in your head. Okay, so we're now going to go on to something that I want to do. I'm not sure if it's helpful, but I love going through history, and specifically I find the history of food styling so interesting and so fascinating. But I also find that this is also very important because the kind of media that we're consuming today is so focused on Instagram and the Pinterest kind of photos that you tend to develop a similar kind of taste. And a lot of the times when you're stuck and you're like, how do I style this? It's really nice if you can look back and see the different kind of pieces and kind of works that other photographers have done over the time. And you can always learn from stuff like that. So this is the first food photo that was ever taken. And you can see this was by William Henry Fox Talbot, a fruit piece. This was in 1845 when everything was black and white. And you can see that there is some styling element to it. The stylist photographer has clearly thought about what kind of, it's a sort of picnic situation with the basket and the cloth, and you can see the fruits. He's made sure, like, you can see that this is a peach, this is a pineapple, it's really coming through. And you can see it's a little faced, a little on the table. Some of them are on the table to make sure what kind of fruit this is. So this is in 1910. I think this is a gorgeous photo. It's something similar to what we are trying to recreate these days, where something is effortlessly placed, even though it's a little messy, but it's still a little effortless, very natural. So all of this before the 1910s, you can see that photography and food photography and the styling is seen as something that's an art form. It's not like what it is today. It's people doing it for the sake of art. And by the 1940s, we move into a shift where we're seeing food styling and photography, which is so hyper commercialized. People are starting to see this form as something that they can make money out of. So this is I find this photo very fascinating by Oscar C. Williams. It's something that we do as food stylists and photographers, is what we do. We want to make the food look so aspirational to people that when they go to like a restaurant and they see that food, they're like, this is the thing we really want to eat. So this form of aspiration is very interesting because you can make sure, like, you can see that this is a drive-through where the person is having clearly a burger and a milkshake, and it's placed on a tray on the window of a car, and it's very bizarre, but it's very fascinating. It's something like you think of, you're like, oh, that's interesting, that's cool, and you remember it. And this is also the first time you can see that the food is inedible. I can guarantee you, there is no way on earth you can make milkshake. You can shoot a milkshake that is in that sunlight with that heat and it's looking that pristine. I would totally think of using shaving cream for that. 100%. So next is the milk drop in the 1950s. This is also very revolutionary. You see those action shots, those splashes, people throwing water at some vegetable and it's like coming out splashing. All of that stuff is something that all started in the 1950s. Very, very interesting. And this is the sausage series in the 1979s. This is very interesting again because you see the food as something like, I think they're people, and the food is being styled like that, something that we don't see anymore at all. I think the maximum I've seen something like this is people drawing on top of food, not making food like that. So yes, and this is the 1980s. This is over here, you can see this is the first time everything is super glam. This is the first time we see props, and not just props in terms of food props like cutlery and plates. You start seeing elements of lifestyle props like flowers, and I think that's a vase, grapes being put on this really elegant glass. This is something that is very interesting because I always find if you put lifestyle props into food shoots, it really gives you a new element and a different edge.
So do you feel like the difference between the one in the 50s and 79, it felt like they were going back to like sort of like artistic.
Yeah, they really were, which is very it's very nice, no? Like I don't see that happening much anymore, but yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah.
Then in the 1990s, if anyone over here has read White Heat by Marco Pierre White, that was the book that it was revolutionary in terms of food photography and styling, because you finally see the chefs, the people who are making the food, come into the photos. It's the first time you're seeing humans, and like this unknown lady throwing pizza, very fascinating. And this is also the first time we see Indian food photography happening. This is the first stylist in India called Indrani Dasgupta, whose husband I think was into advertising, and it just happened randomly because they wanted someone to make the food look good, and that's how it happened. That's how her career stretched. And before, she used to do it for free, and then it went on to becoming a huge scale thing. She's, I think, shot for KFC, McDonald's, everyone. Probably we all grew up probably seeing her photos styled. So yeah, she's revolutionary in India. And then in 2000s, this is something I grew up a lot seeing in cookbooks. You know, that white background, and like the food is so focused. It's like hyper focused, and the attention for the first time actually goes to the food, because you actually see everything. Like this piece of meat has sesame, and you can even see that, and you've never been able to see that before in all the years. You can see the sauce on top of the fish. This this type of styling is something that's very 2000s, super stylized food, where just the focus is on the food. Nobody cares about the plate or what's happening behind it. It's just the food. So the next slide is, I know I didn't show a lot of references because this is the stuff we consume every day. This is social media and rise of mobile photography. People start using their phones, and everything we see now is similar. And what I really want to mention was, this was the first time we start seeing a lot of top shots happening. Like people are taking photos from the top, which didn't happen before. And I think this happened because of the mobile, and it's
Like
very
tasty videos.
They're like tasty videos, yeah. Like they really changed things, right? Like even in terms of videography, like they really changed a lot. Every single client wants tasty videos. Yeah, but what I wanted to mention was that I remember having a conversation with my boss, and he was, when I first came into the studio, I was like, yeah, top shots are like the way to go, because that's the kind of stuff I used to look at. And he was like, but why would you want to do that? Because he was used to that, 2000s hyper focus on food, where food is everything. And when you do top shots, you kind of lose out on a lot of that, which I've come to realize now over time. You lose out on a lot of the texture sometimes, and a lot of the focus goes into props, which wasn't there back in the 2000s. So this is a small brief history. I did this because I was hoping it might inspire you, especially for the people who don't have a lot of props, to go for different kinds, go through the eras and see the different kinds of work they were doing, and maybe try to recreate that and use that as your reference. So finally, starting to the main thing, okay, is that lighting is the key to a good shot, and it enhances the kind of styling. And I always also say this, that lighting is a part of styling, and you can use light as a prop at home if you have good sunlight. I do that a lot, and you really don't need a DSLR or a big camera. But I'm not really going to go into photography much, because this is like the styling based workshop, and I think Ashwin from Ace Photography on Instagram is going to do a session on that soon, and it's going to be, pretty sure it's going to be super in depth. So if you want to see that and see how to use artificial light and all of that, you can go check him out. Okay, next. So I'm going to very brief, please forgive me if you're a photographer. I'm just going to go through basic types of natural light, hard light and soft light. So hard light is basically outdoor sunlight. Like this photo of the baklava, you can see was taken outside. I think this was in the terrace or in the balcony. There's nothing obstructing, it was just plain sunlight. And I basically wanted to see what this glass would look like. And I just wanted to take a photo of that, but I ended up styling the entire thing. And I think hard light is gorgeous if you want to go for this kind of vibe. And this is soft lighting. This is window lighting. So that means where you see the beer, that is where my window was. And there is nothing else in this shot, just window. And I just styled this, and you get like this nice soft sort of lighting. Next. So the direction of light is very, very, very important. This is what front light looks like. This means the sun is directly facing your food, and that is something you really don't want to go for, because otherwise it falls flat, like completely flat. It's not really bringing out the shine or the highlights in the photo that you'd want. So basically, there are two types of direction in light you want to do if you really want to get into food photography, is backlight and side light. So the sun is coming from straight on backwards, and over here this is the side light, and it's coming, this one is coming from the left. And these noodles, it's hard light, so I didn't, it was just directly the sun coming through the window, and you can even see the window grid lines happening. And I think this naan photo was taken on a very it was sort of like a cloudy day. It wasn't very sunny, and I was still able to manage to get this shot because that's how soft light works. And yeah, so the basic gear you want to have when you are shooting, not 100% necessary, because I don't use them all the time, is a diffuser and reflector. And the diffuser goes between the light source and the table where your food is, and it makes the lighting soft, so it makes it something like this naan shot. If I didn't have the diffuser, it would look like these noodles. And
What exactly is this diffuser?
it's like how to explain this? It's basically like a cloth-ish material, and you can diffuse the light. Wow, that makes no sense. You can make the light less, goes
Harsh.
through less, yes, less harsh light happens through it, softer light. And a reflector is basically something that looks exactly similar to this, and you put it opposite your light source, and you get something like this. So this is without a reflector. You can see there's some harsh shadows happening, and when you put a reflector, the light, it bounces back on the food, and you get you can see the prawns more clearly. But if you guys are doing it on a cheap budget, like how I do everything, you don't need a diffuser. What I've done is I've bought one sheer curtain, white curtain, and I put it near the window when the lighting is too harsh, I just put that through, and so I don't really need a diffuser. And I can also control the lighting that way. And for a reflector, I also don't have one right now. And I've bought a 20 rupees thermocol, which I just place exactly opposite the sun. And that's how I do it. So how to start shooting at home. So I want to show you, this is the setup that's done at the studio. I want to just show this to you in the next slide. I want to show you the kind of setup I have. So over here, this is shooting one piece of chocolate. And there's some like 6 lights. And as you can see, diffuser over here. This diffuser is made by tracing paper. Tracing paper is also like a lovely diffuser. If you're into baking and you have lots of tracing paper, just use that if the lighting is too harsh. Yeah, this was a hectic shoot. This went from like 6 a.m. and I think I was there till 3, and it went on for 3 days like that. And I think I felt sick afterwards. It was absolutely ridiculous. And so if you're starting at home, the first thing you want to do is that you want to know where the best light is, where is the sun, and what time does it come at, and just take a day and just go around your house and look at where the best sunlight comes through, and put a table right next to it, and you know that this is the place where you have to shoot. And make sure it's like a window. I mean, it will be a window, I'm assuming. So yeah, that's it. And my basic gear for everyone who literally asks me is I have this one DSLR, which is my Canon 700D. It's a really basic entry level camera that I got back like 5-6 years ago, and I'm still using it. And my lens is a 50 mm. And I always have just one light source because there is one sun. I have one diffuser, which is my cotton, sheer cotton curtain. And I have one reflector, which is my thermocol, and I have one phone I have, and I have some editing apps I use. I use a lot of Lightroom and Photoshop for when I'm doing this professionally and commercially. But if I'm doing it for Instagram and I'm doing it for fun, a lot of the times I just use Snapseed, and I think that's a lovely app, and it helps me a lot when I'm just posting just for Instagram and not giving it to a client. Oops. And yeah, another thing is have everything near you when you're shooting. So have another table just for backgrounds, have another table for props. If you have that much, if you don't, it's fine. Just have a place where you can put all of these things. I want to show you my setup. This is my studio room, and basically that's my prop table. And you can see lots of props over here. This is my diffuser, which I didn't use that day. The curtain is also my diffuser. This is my reflector, this white big thermocol I got, and this is literally my setup. It's a table right here, which I've put a table cloth on, and I've just put food here. And this, and this was my final shot. So this is my setup, which is basically just being next to the window. And this is my second setup. This was done on a rainy day. It was raining all day, and so this is a stool, and I've put like a piece of background right there, and I've styled it, and this is how it came out. There's not a lot of editing done in this actually, because I had to give in the clients the quick stuff, and so it's really basic. But you can see that it's just basic sunlight. That this sunlight was just a small ray that came, and I wanted to give it that breakfast effect. So this was there for 2 minutes, and I got it. So I was kind of happy with that. Next, this is my setup at my parents' house. This is what I've used throughout when I was living with them last year. So this is, yeah. Oh no, where did it go? Oops. I don't have a photo of this. I only have a video. I don't know why. Okay, so there's a huge window here. And so I had to put a diffuser, because even with the diffuser, you can see the light is just insane. It was so harsh that day that it's literally shining like an actual bulb. That's how much sunlight there was that day. And over here, this is my mom's shawl that I've attached to a string, because I didn't have a rod there, so I made a string and I taped it, and then I put the shawl on top, and then I used two clips, and I put the background like that. And as you can see, this is the setup, and this was the final shots of the donuts. So my next setup is again same like the last one, another black shawl, 2 stools, and on top of that I've put a wooden background, which is like a cotton background I got from some Madras shop store. I think I got it from, and I just styled it. I made my mom stand in front of it, and that's literally it. Nothing else, just sunlight. There was no diffuser, nothing. This is practically it. And so it's same for this one. And as you can see, it's that action shot that was done in the 70s, like that milk trough. So yeah. So now that you know exactly where the sun is in your house, and all of that, you know where everything is, it's time to start planning the shoot. So you want to really plan, like how I've said, when you're shooting, you want to be like plain, like nothing should be there in your head except for how good the food looks, and everything else should be decided pre-hand in your head. So like I said, mood board is very, very important. I usually draw it out if I have an idea of a shot that I really want and I can't find references. I just draw it out and I try recreating that. But a lot of the times I just scroll through Pinterest, Instagram, Behance, Google Images, and that's what I try to do. Like, for example, I want to shoot idli. I'm going to make idli tomorrow, and I really want to shoot it. So I'd spend like maybe today going through Pinterest or Instagram, typing in idli photography, and I would get these references. And the next day, I would think about it. I would look at the kind of backgrounds they have, the kind of ingredients they have around it, the kind of props they have, and then I would shoot it the next day. So this is the reference. As you can see, I've taken, I got inspired by the spoon. I got inspired by this shot where the idli is standing, and I've placed the idli stand right behind it, like the first photo. So these are all small, small inspirations you can take to make the shot. Okay, next. So this is another shot. This is another reference. This is straight out of Pinterest. You can see it was replicated like very similarly in the final shot, where you see the same. There are like one bowl, two plates, one bowl, two plates, and fresh ingredients behind, and you see that basket and fruits behind, and you have that napkin coming diagonally, and you have that same thing happening here. But the difference in this one is that the lighting is different. A lot of the times you can actually also, what I do is look for lighting references from some places and put that in another shot. Like for this, the lighting is also same, right? Like this second idli and my idli have very similar lightings. So research the dish. That is also so important before you make the shot, because your ingredients can be used as a prop. So you need to know, for example, if you're making coriander chutney and you very enthusiastically use all the coriander, and then you're like, I want to take a shot of it, but then and then you try it, but it can be any sort of green chutney, right? You want to show that it's dhania chutney. So you should have maybe thought about it before and have like a sprig of coriander before plating it. And so you also have to realize what the food is going to look like after it's been cooked. Stuff like mushrooms, they really get tiny and they change color. So a lot of the time during shoots, what we do is that we half cook mushrooms. And if you're doing that at home, you can maybe half cook 2 or 3 slices and like remove them and then put them nicely on top, but don't eat it when you're styling it. Even for rajma, for shoots, we will never cook rajma and the gravy at the same time. So we boil the rajma and we leave it separately, and we make the curry separately, and then we mix the curry and the rajma, because otherwise it's the same exact color. You want to make sure that the rajma pops out a little. Otherwise it's the same tone of brown. You want to make sure the rajma has a hint of red and the curry is brown. Another example is while styling this wrap, if you make a normal wrap and you cut it in half, nobody's going to be able to tell what exactly you've put inside. So when you do something like that, you want to make sure that you've pulled out the ingredients, or you've like really nicely pulled out, or you've cut it beforehand and you've cut out ingredients separately and then placed it on top, so you get to know. Like for this one was for a restaurant, and I really didn't want to waste a lot of wraps, so this one is filled with napkin below, and it has some like 10 needles that I'm really ashamed of. And but the tomatoes and paneer, everything else is real, but it's been very highly manipulated to go on top. So yeah, and one more thing, this I think this shot for some reason took 1 hour, because there was a break in the middle. I don't know why, but it happened, and so it went really stale. And the thing is, the more food you leave outside, it's just gonna lose color. And especially things like lettuce, it really just tends to wilt. So you don't want that happening. So always have lettuce fresh, with ice cube and cold water to the side. And what I did to make sure that the paneer stays what the color it is, otherwise it was just like really, really plain white, is that I took a paintbrush and then I dipped the paintbrush on this brown curry, and then I colored the paneer to show that it's fresh, but this is definitely nothing that is fresh. And I even put like spritzed water on top of the tomato to use. That's why you see it's very like shiny and nice. Otherwise it was pretty dead looking. So a lot of the times people ask me like, how do I even start styling? So it's basically you have to create a scene. Then the first thing I usually do is I think about if I'm stuck, which happens a lot, is I think about what kind of story is behind the dish, or what is the kind of story what is the story that's happening when people are eating this, and that's how I style things. So like for the first one, you can see that I've made a carrot cake, and for me, my mom's actually made a carrot cake, and it's very nostalgic for me because I remember growing up, my brother and I would eat this a lot, and we'd wait for my mom to make it, and then we would all like devour it in one go. So that's why you can see small prop elements that I've added. I've literally added a picture of my brother and I in that. So these are small, tiny things. And like how I mentioned in the 1970s styling, you know, they had props that weren't food related. I generally really feel sometimes when you do that, it gives you a completely different dynamic and a story when you do something like that. For the second one, this was, I think, not exactly sure, I think my mom made kheer somewhere for Eid or something, and I wanted to show that it was a festival time, so I've added some nuts and some bangles to show that festive flair. For the third one, can anyone guess? I mean, it is obvious, but you can just type it out because I don't want to talk for 2 seconds. Yes, cafe vibes and breakfast. Yes. So this was the client just gave us croissants, and they were like, please shoot. So we were like, what to do? First thing when you think of this dish is you're just like breakfast. So a breakfast cafe vibe. So that's what we did. Then there's this paneer one. There's this one which I took last week only. Some pilaf I made, and it's showing that someone is going to eat, and they have a laptop. Maybe they're watching something. Maybe they're working and eating. The third one is a freshly baked tart that's been cut and it's being served. So these are all stories you can play around with. So I'm going to start with backgrounds. So backgrounds are so important. Like I didn't realize this at all in the beginning. Like you've seen my egg kimchi noodle photo right in the beginning. All of my backgrounds used to be just black with a white plate on top, and it just really dulled down the food because all of your attention would go into this black white scheme happening behind, and that's something you don't want to do. Backgrounds are meant to enhance the dish and not do what I was doing back there. So beware of the impact of texture, colors, and patterns and backgrounds, or even the lack of it. Sometimes there's so much pattern happening that you can't even really make out the food. So you've got to be careful while deciding all of that. So basic backgrounds that you should have, a light gray, marble gray, blue textured, dark gray textured. These are all the ones I have, and I feel like these are the ones I keep using over and over again because they're just like, I think they encompass all colors that play well with food, and we'll get to that in color theory later today. This blush pink, I love this, but after getting it, I realized that I haven't been literally able to use this after a couple of shoots because I feel like it's very desert oriented, like Western deserts will look fantastic in this. So if you're going for that pop art style, then it goes great. And you definitely need a wood, any like a white wood, maybe a dark brown wood. I have a dark brown wood. So the more backgrounds you have, the better it is. I have this really gorgeous textured whites. If you follow me, I use this like abundantly on my stories because it's just so nice. It's like this bluish white gray mix, and this texture on top is fantastic. And I'll actually tell you how to make this texture in like the next slide.
Is this like a textured paper that you've placed on something, or?
No. I will tell you in
Okay.
slides afterwards. Next is, okay. And like I have a basic white, which has some spots happening. So it's not completely white also. And chart papers are the best. If you don't want to like use a lot of money, you can always buy chart paper, but then also be sure that if there's spillage, it's practically gone. And always have, I use a lot of cloths for backgrounds. So all my mom's saris, this is actually her wearing a sari, but all saris, dupattas, everything I have used for backgrounds, they are really good, especially those cotton, and those linen ones are just like, they really bring out your food sometimes. So yeah, if the more colors you have, the greater it is. So where to buy backgrounds? There's something I get a lot too. Madras prop store, Varai prop store, one-eyed backgrounds. That's not how you spell this, but that's also there. I haven't bought stuff, but I've seen stuff from them. It's really nice because they have backgrounds printed on the front and the back, and you can get from all of these, I'd recommend you can buy some vinyl, even though I have some cloth ones, because you can just spill food. All of that happens all the time. So if you have a vinyl, you can easily clean it out. Otherwise, you have to sit and wash, and it's a huge thing you probably don't want to do. And my favorite place to buy backgrounds is my local tile or marble shop, which probably you might have in your area. Both of these photos are from a marble shop. This is the right one is from a bathroom store, I think. You can even tell, but it's very nice, especially this cake photo, this background. I think I got it for 90 rupees. And this is like a 1x1, but like try getting a slightly bigger one. They're not really expensive, and the only problem with these are that they're heavy, and you might not have space in your house to keep them. But they're really good, especially if you're just side note. But if you're a cook and you have like these marble backgrounds, they're really good. If you make a lot of dough, or if you're making pasta, you can just put it on your slab and make pasta, or like roll your dough out on those marbles, and then use them for the background also at the same time. That's what I do a lot, and it's just easier to clean out also, because using your own kitchen slab to do all of these things gets really hectic. Another place is the local wood shop that I told you guys about in the beginning. That's also always great, but it's just a lot of work. But if you're into that sort of stuff, wood shop is lovely. Stationery store, get all your. You can even get textured. What's it called? Textured backgrounds. That's great. Linens work, like I've said, and go to the linen shop. Sorry, and Amazon is also a really good place to buy backgrounds. Yeah, so, and it's cheaper also. This Madras prop store and Varai prop store are a little on the heavy side of things. Okay, how do you prep the wood before using them? I will tell you in the next slide. How to make your own background. This is something that I think Tanya only asked me to do because she wanted to make her own background. So I should have taken a video, but I don't have one. Like, I only have bits and pieces of people having fun while making it. But by MDF, by canvas, by wood, by plywood, these are the 4 best type of backgrounds if you want to make your own one. Easiest and most expensive is getting a canvas, but they're so nice, they're light, and they're portable, so you can carry them around instead of buying wood and like buying 3 different stacks or 4 different stacks of wood and carrying them around everywhere. Gets too much. I haven't personally done a canvas background. Like, I mean, I've painted it, but I haven't used it in anywhere because I painted it badly. But MDF works, and wood I've done, and plywood also. So especially if you're doing wood, you have to scrape out, you have to buy a sandpaper, which is of 100 or 60 strength, and you have to like scrape it out completely. Really nicely, take you around 20 minutes, but do that because it's really worth it. Otherwise, you might actually injure yourself because of the wood coming out. So you want to make sure that everything is nice and smooth. And then you can take a scraper, add putty to your MDF. If you're doing an MDF, then use a scraper and add putty, because that gives you that texture, like that nice, you know how people have like lots of textures happening on top, and it's like this very nice one. And if you actually buy it from Varai, it'll cost you like 2-3K. That sort of texture is when you buy the cement and you put it on top. And then you can let the putty dry. It takes like 30 minutes, I think. And then now you can start painting. So if you're doing wood, also right now you can just start painting the wood. So I always use Asian paints. There is, you can go for basic colors, white, gray, black, blue, for the wood or the MDF. And you can paint them with a roller, a sponge, like a big fat brush, whatever you have, and you can start experimenting and mixing it with those colors. So this will probably won't take you a long time. I mean, if you're good with painting and artsy stuff, it shouldn't, but if you're like me, it will take you some time, and it takes a lot of time, effort, practice, and sometimes you just keep redoing them because you're just not satisfied with the way they're looking. And once the wood is dry, you have to, what was the question? 1 second, where it went. How to prep. Okay. So one thing with the wood you have to do after it's dried and everything is that you have to oil it. When you oil it, you get that nice shine coming through. Otherwise, the wood absorbs all the paint and it gets very dry looking. So you need to oil it. And a lot of the times you need to oil it before shooting also, like many times, because the oil also soaks in and becomes dry again. So you just oil it again. Oil it with tissue paper and scrub. I hope that helped. What oil is the best to use? I've only used, I think, whatever was there was probably any sort of refined oil. No, nothing that you have to go out of your way and buy it. Because if you're constantly oiling the backgrounds, it doesn't make sense for you to like buy separate oil for it. Anything works. Then props. Like I've mentioned before, I keep mentioning props and again, but props are not just, dishware, cutlery. There are also things like glass, vases, flowers, and all of these things really, really make your frame. So yeah, you can do without props. If you see my work, I don't have a lot of props. So I play around with, I use lighting a lot as a my form of prop because I don't have many things. So that, and then, props are important. Look for things around your house. Props are everywhere. That is so true. All sorts of tiny things you probably miss out there in your house. If you guys do style and are bloggers, if you have, what is some weird, bizarre prop that you've used, you can let me know. I'm also thinking about weird stuff I've used, but I've used a lot of random things. And always props, like same for the backgrounds, really go for neutral colors, especially when you're starting out. Use white, off-whites, grays, pale blues, and light grays. You want to play it safe a little in the beginning. So go for that. Buy really, really tiny props. That took me a while to understand also, because I'd buy like a big normal eating pit, but they don't always work for photos. You want to have small things. You want to have small dipping bowls also. The bigger it is, the larger your frame will be and the more you'll have to make food, so go for something small. Paint cheap cutting boards. Yeah, so a lot of the times you can use this as a base and use it to layer your food and all of that. Also have a few expensive props that are very inspirational. Like this photo, this lemon photo, the vase, I feel is something that really makes the lemons and the entire like everything pop out. It's because it's super expensive. Not inspirational, aspirational, sorry. And over here I've used minimal kind of props because I didn't have anything. So I always, whenever for baking, you see me, because I don't have a lot of baking equipment, I use baking paper to layer things always, because I feel it's just nice. And I think when I was styling this, I realized, and then I started getting all the rustic sort of looking things from my kitchen. This is a pestle, this is a knife that was wooden. I thought it would work. So that. And small props over here, like I've said, this small dipping bowl, this small tiny plate, and a non-food element is this book, which gives you a story of, you wonder why there is a book, or you probably think, oh, she's probably cooking it out of a cookbook, or something like that. But not all props work. Like I said, don't buy big cutlery or props. Cheap is not always better. It still takes me some time to realize this. Don't buy busy cutlery, don't buy set pieces, don't ever do that. Like, don't buy a set of 6 plates just for one kind of shot, or just don't do that. Like, buy one, it'll be cheaper also. And a lot of the times I've bought plates out of rejected pieces. There's always someone somewhere who has like a set piece, and but one broke, and so they sell you one for way cheap, so you can go for that. Always go for matte finish. Don't go for like those glossy melamine or those anything that reflects. Just don't buy it, because once the sun or the light goes through it, it will reflect back, and the entire focus of your shot is going to go on that matte finish piece. Don't go for standard props that everyone has. I think you'll know, like if you're on Instagram, you know that plate which I think it's a Fab India plate, but has those lines in the middle. Everyone has that, even I have some. So don't go for something that's easily like incredibly recognizable. Especially if you're doing a shot that you want to stand out. Otherwise, like if you're doing it for fun, that's fine. And also, props are not built in a day. It takes years. It took my mom, I think, some 30-40 years. Her collection is insane, but and she didn't even know that I was going to probably use it for photography one day, but it's taken forever. This photo, for example, is something that doesn't work. Like, it looks, the first time you see it, or you're like, okay, this is nice, but when you actually think about it, this bread is so tiny, which was not the case. That this bread was like this big, and I was like, oh wow, I'll make it. And then I got a little I don't know, wasn't thinking. This is one of the shoots that I didn't plan, and that's probably the reason why this happened. The board is humongous. That knife is bigger than the bread, and this baking paper is just cut so weirdly, and that honey is half the size. It's just too big, actually. That was a product, so I can't do anything about it. But make sure you think about sizes when you're taking photos. These props don't work. Just the props, like this dish, I took out from my mom's cabinet because I was like, wow, I'll put fish in it because it has fish. And I once did, and I couldn't see anything because everything behind that dish was just like, it's just overwhelmingly crowded. The second one, this is really big. Like, I've always wanted to, I see this piece every single time, like, yeah, I want to shoot something in it, but I never am able to, because it's just so humongous that it's just not, it just never works out. Like, if I put anything into it, I won't be able to see it, only because it's that brown shade that really doesn't work sometimes. And for this pastry shot, the cutlery is huge. It's the same size as the cake, but I didn't have anything there, and it was like a 5-minute shot, and was at a restaurant, so I guess that's why it happened that way. But even there's a spoon behind it also that's even bigger. So I'm not sure what I was thinking when I was shooting this, styling this. Basic must-have props. This I'll go through really quickly. Have number one, actually, I forgot to mention this. Always think, what is the kind of cuisine you make the most in your house, or what you shoot, or what you like to style the most. For me, I think it would be Asian. So a lot of my props are based out of that, but if are like those Asian designs. But if you are someone who makes a lot of Indian food, you should have things like brass, you should have wood, you should have some blacks, you should have all like different types of thalis and all the other things that when you see, you're like, yeah, this is Indian food. So basic things have all sizes of bowls, all different colors if you can. These are really bad references, but generally plates have, again, know the kind of food you make the most and buy stuff similar. Have wood, like this middle one, have all sizes of plates. Even if you have a big plate, even if you put a smaller plate in the middle, it gives you a nice harmony, like this shot over here in the first one. So have everything, all sizes, medium, big, small, half. But I'm pretty sure you guys will mostly use small if you are ever medium. Beverage props have everything, again, everything possible. Cutlery have all different types of materials in cutlery. If you want going for that antique baking sort of thing, you want to have like that nice bronze-ish knife happening, would look really nice. You want to have all different types of sizes, again, different materials, different things. I just remembered, I was shooting last 2 months ago for this restaurant, and they were hell-bent on getting like black cutlery, and I was just not like, I couldn't find it anywhere, and Amazon was delivering like 2 weeks later. So I took spray paint and I spray painted a matte, a wooden as well as a matte fork. So yeah, that went to waste, but I mean, I wasn't able to use it again, because once I like wash it out, the thing goes away, the spray paint goes away. So these things happen. Have lots of cloth. This is all the cloth in the studio. Actually, there's way more, but this is just one cabinet that's color coded that look nice. So as you can see, a lot of these are plain. You don't want to have cloth that is so busy, so hectic that you can't really, you have no idea what's happening in the food. So I have plain things, like over here, I think almost everything is plain beside this one thing, and there's some checks, there's some stripes, there's some lace things happening. So go for everyday stuff like that. You don't necessarily have to buy it because you might even have it in your house. A lot of the times I use t-shirts and other things. They work great. Basic must-have props, extras. Okay, yeah. Have cutting boards. If you're a baker, have all your baking props. Cutting boards are very important. Also, like I have 3, 4, and no more than that. And some are rectangular, some are circular, and they work with the kind of food you're making. Oh, okay. Composition color. Someone has asked a question: how to choose the right color of prop background for the main dish. Yay. Okay, that is leading on to the next one, which is color theory. If you have more questions, just keep asking them. And I hope this has been helpful so far. I feel like maybe if you're beginning, I feel like this might be too much, or I don't know, but let me know how you feel also. Yes, composition. Oh, someone has answered something. Yes, very helpful. Yay, I'm happy. So to answer Tanya's right color prop background for the main dish, this is literally, I can't believe she asked me this at this point, because we're gonna go on to color, composition and color theory. I love color theory. It's something that is so fun. Once you understand it, you can easily, what background will work, what prop will go. But first we'll go through the composition. So by now, I think I've covered the kind of lighting you want to have, the kind of setup you want to have, the background, the props. So now we're going to actually start composing things that go around the food. By the way, this is not actually the job of a food stylist. It's the job of a prop stylist. like styling things that go around and like choosing the props. But I don't think that's a concept yet in this country, but a lot of Western countries have a completely separate job for prop styling. So prop stylists just work on composition and color theory and the kind of props, the kind of background. This is what they do. And food stylists just make the food look pretty, basically. That's it. Okay, types of compositions. So I'm pretty sure like a lot of this is instinctive and I don't really have to talk much about it. Like the first one, you can see the diagonals. It's kind of everywhere. This whiteboard, this napkin, this, what is this pot? Saucepan? I think that was importantly, huh? No. Okay, then negative space, as you can see, I love using negative space. Like I have that a lot happening. So I love doing that because you can just see the entire focus is just on the food, and it's that negative space around it that makes it pop out. And off centers is something you will see like a lot happening throughout. And in this dish, it's so busy. This is like one of the busiest compositions. And that this happens a lot in Indian food, and I'll go through that. But this is, even though there are like some 500 things happening, there's like, I think I see sambar, I see pori, I see dahi, I see like 2 different types of chutney, there's brinjal behind, but still my eyes is like, oh, it's the dosa because it's off-centered. Lines. This was the most basic photo I found that I'd taken of lines. Practically, you can actually see the lines, and the lines are actually building the frame. Without it, it would be really busy. And you can see the lines happening diagonally because of the sun, which I use a lot as in my styling, and I play around with that, as well as the tarts themselves. Layers over here in this sandwich picture, you can see that it's layered, like really layered. So your entire focus is just going on that sandwich and nothing else. It's layered newspaper, there's a napkin, there's this white slab, and then you see the what's it called, the sandwiches all stacked up together. Then over here, repeated patterns. This is something I also use a lot, especially if you're a baker and you're like making cookies and stuff. If you arrange them in like a nice pattern, it always works. That's the most common cookie styling technique. And these are wontons which I've styled, and also just I've cropped it in such a way that it seems like it's endless, like even beyond this frame, the wontons keep on going. So that's something you want to portray when you are doing, and keep in mind when you're doing this sort of composition where food is repeating itself. And rule of thirds, I'm pretty sure everyone knows this, and everyone also knows that you don't have to follow this exactly, but rule of thirds is basically 9 boxes running through the photo vertically and horizontally, lines, 9 of them, and it's really aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. Apparently, if you place your food or anything that you're styling in that's touching the lines or in one of these boxes. And this photo, this one actually uses a lot of things. This one uses layers. As you can see, there's the napkin, and there are 2 stacks of plates, and then there's that stack of pancake happening. You can see layers happening in this one. And you can also see height, which we are going to talk about next in that tart photo, where you can see height through that book, through the plates, and then through the tart itself. And the fact that it's given a height, it really accentuates it, because everything else behind it is really blurry. So your entire focus and attention goes into the start. Okay, so question, what compositions do you think all of this includes? And you can just write it out. Okay. Mm. Rule of thirds is there, yes. Height is there. Rule of thirds plus height. Off center, yes. Off center is also there. Yes, lines are also there. You can see it through the wood that's happening. There's also, I think, layers. Someone says layers. Someone says, no. Yes. Oh yeah, layers. Okay. Yes, there's layers also. Yes. So like when you're one of the things I do a lot is I study photos. I mean, I should be doing it a lot more, but like I know people who spend hours judging, not judging, sorry, understanding, learning one photo. Like they would spend hours on this photo and write down all the compositions, write down all the colors, write down styling techniques that they see. So if you really want to build up your styling game, you would think of all of the things that I've mentioned today. Like maybe you can do this as an exercise at home. Just take one photo and maybe something as busy as this, so you can learn from it more, because you see a lot of things happening in this. You can see how even though there are like 500 things happening, your entire attention first goes on to that cake, even though there's like some 4 plates to the side and some knives, and there's a slice in the middle, and there's a glass, and there's even like that art cutter thing to the side. There's a vase with some flowers, and there's an entire bowl of cherries behind, and everything still makes you go to that because of all the composition things we just learned. And yes, all of that. There's some diagonals also. I think someone mentioned, but yeah, the napkins are also here. And just in turn, this is all what the prop stylist does, but as a food stylist, you can also notice that we made sure that the cherries are in the middle, so you can see that this cake has like cherries also in the middle. So it's been actually like placed probably with like a pin or something to show, and you can see that oozing out is done through a squeezy bottle. And this was taken in the winter, so it was a little cold. But there are a lot of times where you have to style cake and it's just so hot, and sometimes people have no choice. And I know this, I know this personally, people have put Colgate as icing in the sun, because what else can you do for whipping cream? So yes, that has happened. Okay, while compiling a busy composition, how to choose where to place the props so attention doesn't go away. Yeah, like how I just mentioned, you need to play with all of these. Like this is the most busiest photo I could find. So that I could find that I've been a part of. So this is okay. So sorry. So this is as you can see, it's using what's it called? It's using offside, it's using rule of thirds. So all of these things are composition techniques that make you look at that, basically. That's how you style a busy composition is by playing with all of these things. What did you mention as the icing sub? Couldn't hear. Colgate. That has happened. But I think one of my baker's friends was telling me about something else that they used, which worked. Can't remember, but I'll let you know. It was one of something baking related, only not exactly sure. Okay, now we're going to color theory. Color theory is really, really important, and will be like how when someone asked how to choose the colors for the prop and the background, this is exactly how you can go about it. It basically identifies all the different type of colors, all the hues in the colors, and you can see which color will work with what. And there are 3 different, I mean, you can do more than that, but just for basically starting out, if you can do more than 3, that's great. But the 3 basic color theory rules or types of color theory is this. you can play with monochromatic colors. So this is when you play with just you take one color and then you play around with it. Like for example, this one I think falls under the red and orange category. So you go to your color wheel and you look at red and orange. I think yellow, orange also in this case. So you have all of these. You can play with colors that fall under pomegranate, ruby, candy apple, smoothie, peach, gold rush. I think all of these shades are shades you can use to choose the kind of props, choose the kind of backgrounds. If you want this sort of monochromatic look to your photo. So another type is complementary colors, and this is what we use the most when it comes to styling Indian food, because literally it's really hard. It's one of the hardest things to style because everything is in the shade of brown and it's in the shade of red, and it's so like hard to bring out these colors. So this is when we use complementary colors, and it's also for bakers, because everything is brown and orange and yellow. So you want to kind of know the colors you would go for. So for example, in that one, I used red and green, this noodle one I did, red and green. So if we go back to the color wheel, this is the red and this is the green, exactly in the opposite, and this is complementary. So if you were to, for example, if you have Indian food, which is red and orange on this shade, you would go for styling with something that's here, green, and blue. Like for example, you probably have seen a lot of baking things with a blue napkin coming like a little bit just into the frame, and that really makes the cake or anything that's brown really pop up. And you see that with Indian food too, but I feel like a lot of, at least me, I kind of tend to just stick to monochromatic when it's coming to Indian, and I like just playing with this range, which is red to yellow, orange. But complementary colors is great. It gives you like a completely different edge, and like you can get really these sort of really contrasting shots if you do this. And the last kind of color theory is using analogous colors. So basically, these are colors that are next to each other in the color wheel. Like for example, this one is blue and this one is pink. And if you go back to the color wheel, you get blue and sort of pink happening. So these are the sort of things you can work for. So if someone would ask me about the backgrounds, you can always go for these 3 different types of color theories, and it will help you choose what will go where. But these are, again, like I said, these are things you need to think about before making your food, styling it, and shooting it. That's why I always say, like, use all your, like, all your brain should be done way, like, should be calculated, and everything should be prepped in your head beforehand. Because once the food comes, you can actually just you don't have time to think, because the food is hot, you want to take a shot and you want to take it really good. But if you then start, okay, now I'm going to put the background, now I'm going to do everything, then it's going to take a very long time. But you will get a shot, but it will take some time. Now, okay, now we're finally to the like styling food part. I'm not sure how much this might help people who are not doing this professionally, but I'll also still add things about it. So styling Indian food, like how I said, it's like a huge struggle for everyone who is a part of this community. It's just that shooting curries is so hard because they are just similarly, they have similar textures, and it's really hard to bring that out. Especially, I feel like dal is like my biggest nightmare in the planet, because the lentils just keep going back down and you're just like, what do I do? So I would always say play with the ingredients. Make sure if it's moong dal, make sure you have some hint of moong dal showing at the back as a prop, being like, like this is the dal. I'm not using arar, it's moong, to show that, yeah, there's a difference. With Indian food, I would actually, I play a lot with the story of the kind of food is happening, because otherwise I feel it gets a little plain. So you want to know that emotional, you want to have some emotion to it. I feel like with Indian food, a lot of us do have emotions attached to it. So you should have props, or something that's telling the storyline. Also have the right prop for the right dish. Like I don't know, like I think I saw this somewhere, but like using banana leaf with chole bhature is like, why are you doing this? So think that through. Like if you're styling samosa, maybe you want to have a newspaper be like below it to give it that nostalgic effect. And I feel like we can play a lot around with Indian food like that, because a lot of us have that connection. Use traditional dishwares if you have them. Like nothing is better than that. And don't clutter the frame with too much food. And if you are cluttering, like remember that dosa shot I just shown. If you are cluttering it, make sure you use the composition theories, and make sure that the focus just goes there, and not to the various 500 things that are around it. Like for this bhindi, this is the only, I think, minimalistic Indian shot I've done by myself. I think that's why. And you just, I just played with the light. It's just the sunlight coming from behind. That's it. And I've tried making it a little dark. And I've placed a tree and I've put a cloth and just styled bhindi like that. Obviously, I have not just dumped, one more thing, I just not dumped the bhindi into this handi, I think, or whatever it was. I actually go and I pick the best looking bhindi and I leave that for the top. And then for the bottom, I just like put any bhindi and then I leave and I style it really nicely, like thinking where it might look good and what position. And I spend 5 minutes doing that. This biryani, yes. I think there's some more biryanis I'll talk about. Like I said, dals are, I keep talking about dals over again, but they're really hard and they get really stiff. They get cold and they get stiff, and then you have to like keep reheating them. And it's honestly best if you have a skewer around, or like anything, or like a spoon behind of a spoon, and keep moving it so it just doesn't get cold and stays flat. And really make sure you know what's inside your curry, because everything seems to settle down and the liquid goes back up, right? So there are lots of different ways in which you can prop this up. Some of them include putting stones. If you have a bowl, put stones. Put the liquid, and then if it's chicken curry, then put the chicken curry on top, so it looks nice and you're able to see everything. Also, like for example, in this dish, I think this was like a Calcutta style biryani. It's a pork biryani, is really good. This is one of the food, one of the things I ate because like I was like, I need to have this. Didn't get sick, I think, hopefully. No, I don't think I got sick, but over here, you see that pork piece over here through my cursor. This is the hero piece. I really wanted it to stand out, as well as this one, these two ones. So they're placed right on top. And this biryani has gone through probably a lot of water spritzing has happened to it. And this pork has been oiled at least 5 times, otherwise it really goes dry. Some other ones is this rava fish. Over here, you can see that I tried to put in some human element. I told someone to hold the beer, and the entire thing, mood of this dish is like a fun time, 5 p.m. drink snacks happening. And this is one of my favorite shots. I think this was taken at like 4 a.m. in the morning. I left. I was like, I can't shoot anymore. But so it's not mine, but it's like one of my favorite things. I went next morning and I saw, and I was like, wow, fantastic stuff. And you can actually see over here, you can see it's playing with monochromatic colors. Everything is brown and it really works. It's shades of brown and it really, really works. You can see it's bringing this entire nostalgic effect. There's a clock, there's a pen, there's a notebook, there's some coins. These are antique coins, by the way. And it's an entire tiffin dabba that looks gorgeous. And this is some dark bungalow on top. And you can see that there's a sprig of coriander right here that really just makes that makes that shot. It's just those tiny things that like make it really pop out. Like if it wasn't there, it would have felt a little empty. Tiny things like that. And on the rice behind it, you can see there's onion, and then there's some chili on top. Yes, so lovely photo there. And this shot is curd rice. Like I've said, Indian food, you got to really garnish it. Have fresh, I think curry leaf looks really nice. And also notice that the curry leaves aren't huge, they're tiny. So get small, tiny ones, because if you put big ones, your entire eye goes into this big green chili. And you can see small cut pieces of green chili that is right there, and the pomegranate, just really that red really makes it shine out. Over here is rajma, and like I said, I think I mentioned this, that the rajma is not cooked. The curry is cooked, the rajma is not cooked. And for this one, I didn't want to waste the food because it was a lot of rajma that would go to waste and a lot of rice. So this one there's this thick layer of a potato mash, basically boiled potato and mashed up below it, and a little bit of rice on top, and uncooked rajma and covered with gravy to show that it's edible, even though it's not. And there's some, I think, fried onions on top, and some that fresh coriander again coming through. Looks really nice. And over here you can see the composition little offside, and this pepper at the back is forming like a line, and it's leading to the bowl over here. So these are all things you need to study and spend time with. This is Andhra style thali. This is one of my first shoots. I think my first shoot, I was an assistant at. I didn't know what was happening. I was just confused as to like the amount of stuff that was being done. But I just remember that this dal was being hectic and everyone was a little fed up with it. You can still, because it had to like the stylist then was constantly like picking it up and with a skewer or a spoon, and was trying to prop up that dal. You can so you can see the little bit of piece there. Poor thing was like constantly at it. And these mustard and on that rasam, the mustard just keeps clumping up all the time. So you've got to constantly move these things. This chicken has been oiled to death, like for that shine, not edible. And for styling paranthas, this is something that happens is it's cooked differently, like it's made differently. You put two rotis and then you stuff it and then you stick it together. So you get that nice thick filling happening when you cut it. So that's how you style paranthas. Because if you make like a normal one, like how I make it at home, the stuffing really doesn't come out. So if you want the stuffing to show, you have to cook it completely differently. Again, some dal makhni, same dal issues happened, that was resolved. And again, here, this chicken, monochromatic colors as always. Also, the colors in this dal makhni, you see everything being blue. It's making the complementary colors, so blue and brown, so it's making it pop up. And this chicken curry, as you can see, it's very heavy on props, right? But the fact that it's zoomed in really makes it stand out. Again, I feel another thing with Indian food is that the curries, if you shoot it backlight, don't ever shoot backlight with Indian curries or any curry actually, because you get to see this white light forming. This oil, it just rises up. So it's always best to shoot Indian curry, dal, not exactly dal, but like these really liquidy curries from the side light. Otherwise, it's like it's completely white, like this shot, even though it's gorgeously styled. Like you can see that pepper has been added on top, and that green chili just looks fantastic. It's all these small garnishes that really make really make your food. Otherwise without this, it would look so plain. Cold beverages. I think I'll go really fast now because not a lot of time left. Cold beverages, really easy. Let's just, if it's a cold beverage, make sure you have ice. Make sure you put ice in the freezer like a day before. Otherwise, it's just like waiting for it. And a lot of people put their glass in the freezer and make it cold. That works well. Sometimes what else also works is if you mix glycerin and water and then spritz it and to show condensation happening. And if it's a fizzy sort of drink like Coke, you gotta put salt in it so it rises back up. I was styling for a Mangalorean restaurant that was serving a lot of beer, and I felt so bad for like having new beer to have that foam up for every single shot. And then so what I did was that I kept adding salt, so one beer glass would last me 2-3 shots instead of like per shot. So that's a really cool trick, is just to add some salt and it just bounces back up. Hot beverages, make sure you're hot, make sure your beverage is hot. Have backlight always, so you get that steam, and also always have a dark background. And white cups really go well with hot beverages. Styling desserts, always make desserts one day before. If you're making it and you're styling and shooting it, just make it one day before because it gets so tiring. And I always do that and then I always regret it. So just make it one day before and go that way. With cakes, always, if possible, and if you're really confident your cake has turned out amazing, have a slice. Always have a cross section so people can see what's happening. Ice creams are another thing altogether. Nobody uses mashed potatoes. I don't know why people keep talking about the fact that ice cream uses mashed potatoes. No, it doesn't. That's just there is recipes on how to make fake ice cream using lots of margarine and stuff, and they look absolutely like edible even though they're not. But mashed potatoes just look fake. This particular one is has been, so the ice cream was already scooped out and was kept in the freezer for overnight, and that's how it was shot. That's literally it. But if you have ice cream that with the lowest fat content, like the cheapest ice cream is the one that's best to style and doesn't melt. So that's a pro tip. Next, styling Indian desserts. Always, I genuinely feel you need to have garnishes for everything that's Indian. Like the cashews really make the shot. Again, see the monochromatic colors. It's a repeating thing. Gulab jamun, also keep it fresh, keep putting chashni on top, otherwise it looks really dry. You don't want that. Styling burgers is I don't know if anyone will do this at home, but I shouldn't do this at home. But this burger has 4 layers of cardboard, at least 20 pins inside it, and anyone will die if they have this. So you shouldn't, because burgers are so flimsy, they will actually fall apart. I'm pretty sure, like when I style burgers at home, I don't do anything to it except for maybe add a wooden toothpick, nothing metal, nothing like that. So I can take it out, and I usually put it in the middle of the burger, and then I stack it back up and then have one behind. So nothing more than 2. But for commercially, if you really want to make it layered, after every layer, there's a small circular cardboard that's inserted, and needles that make sure that everything is absolutely perfect. And yeah, this is probably mayo. This mayo is probably, Fevicol, and yeah. And again, all of the vegetables have glycerin on them to give it that shine. Step by step, how to style. Oh yes, I got this for you guys. One second. So this is step by step on, 1 second, don't close your eyes for 2 seconds. Okay, this is how it happens step by step. So this is one shot. This shot's taken 45 minutes to 1 hour to do. And so basically we started off with with a handi like this, and it gradually and you have to realize that everything else has been styled beforehand. There's coriander, there's pepper, there's rice, there's red chutney. I mean, what is that chutney? What am I saying? Salan, sorry, oh my god. And then there's some salad behind. That's already been there. Like, this is stuff you need to have before the food comes in. Like, you need to have this prep, you need to have everything ready. You can see that this the background is black.
Hey,
and
Sanskriti, sorry to disturb, but we can't see the photo.
Oh my god, you can't.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh shit, wait. You can't see any of it.
No, I can just see a screen that says step by step
Yeah,
how
just
to
says
style.
step by step how to style.
Oh no, wait 1 second. Oh no, I started talking so much also. 1 second. Oh, resume share. Can you see it now? Oh my god, oops. How do I do this? How do I do this? So can you see this now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god, lovely. Oh, so you guys missed the entire thing. I'm glad. Okay. So over here, you see that everything is there before even the food is like there. So we have background is ready, chili is there, spoon is there, salan is there, what's it called? Dahi is there, coriander is there. Everything is prepped because before you need to have this ready. Even when I do this at home, I make sure all my props and all my ingredients are out there, because once the food comes, it's just so hard, because then you have to really
Sorry
start
to
working.
interrupt. I think it's the desert photo right now.
No. How to do this? 1 second. Advanced sharing option. No. I'll stop share and then I will share again. Now?
Yeah.
Yes.
What, do you see a handi?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Handi,
Oh my God.
curry, pickle.
Lovely. Now okay, I'm not repeating for the third time, but everything is set, okay? And everything is set, everything's looking lovely. And then you start bringing the food in. Actually, you play around with the props and see which one works. This is an Andhra style biryani. We don't want Andhra style biryani to be in a ramen bowl. For some reason, that was placed there just to see if it would work or not. But as you can see, the difference in the prop is huge. Everything is brass, and then you suddenly get like this black modern looking thing that's just not working. And then slowly you see this prop come in, this golden vase thing. And so suddenly there's like but we realized that Andhra banana leaf and handi would look the best. Then change in the leaf, and then change it again. So we actually cut it out from scissors and make it to the same size, because if it was the same size as this, then a lot of the attention would go there instead. Then finally the rice is filled, and you can see it's a mix of white and yellow. So a lot of the times, if the rice is just white, you want to take out the yellow grains separately and then put it on top, or vice versa, or whatever, because you want to show the colors. If it's all mixed, then you're not able to tell much. And then finally the chicken hero coming in, and then change over in this angle, you weren't able to tell, but from here you're able to see that it's chicken. Otherwise it can be literally anything. And then you can see movements being played around, and suddenly we have star anise, and also pepper's also been added on top. And then it goes, and then again, coriander, cannot stress garnishing and how important it is. And you suddenly see the spoon, photographers on the way, suddenly spoon is like what to put or to not to put the spoon, which I think happens to everyone who styles. And you see these lemon wedges also come in. Then there's then this is the part that I'm talking about, is that you really oil the protein, like you oil it up like crazy. See, this is before, it's very dry. And then with the oil, it's just shining through. So these are things that make a huge, huge difference. And again, then the spoon just keeps happening because not sure about to have the spoon, what spoon is working. And the reason why this big spoon isn't taken, because it's so big, it's like, if you compare it, it's almost like 1/4 of this handi, and it looks weird. So then we get a tiny spoon that is too tiny, and it's literally actually a dessert spoon and looks like one. So we decide against the spoon, and this is the final shot. So this is how food is styled in a shoot, but I think a lot of us go through the exact similar process when we're doing at home. But these are just like small things to have ready before you start doing the entire thing. Do you guys see halwa again?
No.
No? Okay, wait. 1 second. Going back. Halwa. Cool. Halwa? Everyone saying halwa?
Yep.
Yay, okay. Okay, now we're almost near the end. So for food bloggers who are styling on a budget, and this also includes me, is that really buy things that are in season. Don't like go for strawberries right now because you won't get them. Make meals that your family will eat. I'm always thinking about what I'm going to eat next. So I have things like prepared in my head. So like, I know tomorrow, yeah, I'm going to eat, I don't know about tomorrow, but I don't know, I can eat noodles tomorrow. So in my head, I'm going to be already styling it, already propping it, bagging, like making a background, having some references before overnight. And I do this because, and before even making, I have it ready. I have my backgrounds ready. It's near the sun. Everything is there, props are up. I make the food and then I quickly put it, take a shot, and then it should be done 10 minutes-ish. Time yourself 10 minutes. Especially if you're starting out, this will take forever. It takes a huge, long time to get to like a decent shot. Oh, it takes like months and years. In my case, it took years. And do that, and then automatically give it to your family to eat. This is what I did during lockdown when I was living with my parents. Is my dad would just always be really upset and angry that I was always shooting his food, and he's like, why is this happening to me? So that's how I got this, like, that's how I started planning shoots beforehand. Like in the morning, I'd have my setup ready, like near the window, everything would be done. I'd make the food and like quickly plate it. Like there's a lot of my shots are just like 5-minute shots because of the restriction in timing. So you wanna also, like if there are a lot of people coming over, you wanna shoot some and you wanna take a shoot. I always do deserts. Deserts don't go bad most of the time. So deserts are your way to go. Also, you can shoot according to the ingredient. For example, right now there's a lot of mango happening, so you can shoot a lot of lassi, milkshake, and curry. And then if you're posting on Instagram, you can post it throughout for a couple of months. And also you can change your angles when you're shooting, but then you'll also have to style it according to the angles. But you can do that. Like for example, if you're making, I don't know, cinnamon rolls, you might want to change the angle. If you're doing it for Instagram, like you might want to change the angle and the setup. And cinnamon rolls don't get bad after a while, and without the glaze at least. So you can take 1 or 2 hours of your day and have 3 setups in mind of how you would shoot those ones, and with different angles. And so you can like post them over time. It won't be, you won't have to like put up content every other or 2-3 days. So, in the beginning, I mentioned something called a styling kit. So this is what we have. Others have tweezers, but I always have them at home also, especially for coriander and stuff. Just like putting them there is really nice. Always have really sharp knives, have scissors, cardboard for all sandwich burger shoots. Paint brushes are so important for greasing things of all sizes also. Cotton swabs, spritzer is like your best friend. Have drinking straws. Actually, one of the way, if you've ever seen like that shot with smoke coming behind it, like there's a burger and there's like smoke, or there's something food element, and there's just like smoke happening, that is done through a straw. So someone has to smoke a cigarette and it goes through a straw, and that's how you get the smoke happening. Actually, one of the shots over here, the one in the complementary colors, if you guys remember that pink and the blue shot with the steam coming out of that pot, that was a cigarette through a straw. And always have gloves, wear them, glycerin, salt for them, beer shoots, squeezy bottles, paper towel, paint brushes, and all of that. Okay. Then how to make it professionally. Someone asked me to make a slide on this. So my only thing would be to keep practicing every day for every meal, like how I just mentioned. Have that ready. Practice a little every day. Your phone is more than enough. And if you have editing apps like Snapseed or Lightroom, it's just works really well. And start building your portfolio like that. And eventually start getting props, and get props that are friendly for your household also. Like, I mean, everything in food, I guess, is friendly for that. Start investing in gear if you want to take photography more often, and you can start assisting food stylists on shoot. That's what I did, and it really helped. I was assisting both for photography and styling, and it genuinely, as you can see, made like a huge difference for me. Learn their skills, but most importantly, go back home and practice those skills, because you won't get there unless you don't do it yourself. Yeah, and email different photographers your portfolio if you have one, because they'll remember you. If they ever have an opportunity, they'll remember you and they will get back to you. There's not a lot of food stylists in India, so you can actually go for it and try it out. Never hurts to send an email to anyone, and have a community of budding food stylists around you that can help you whenever you need. You can text me. I'll always give back feedback. You can send me full photos and I'll actually tell you what all to do, composition wise, color wise, prop wise. And if you want to take it further, there's a really crazy, expensive, but also really good food styling Bible by Dolores Cluster. It's like this thick, fat orange book. It has everything that I've talked about times 100. So if you're really into it, you can get that. And there's Plate to Pixel. It's a mix of both photography and styling. So you can do both of those things if you're interested. And on the internet, there's Bite Shot, Tula Studios, food photography schools. There's so many people. I'm sure you know more than me. And that's it. So now you can start. I'll just recap. Find a place in your house with the best lighting. Find references for the kind of shots you're going for. Set up a table. Then set up your background. Set up your props. Then make your food, and then style it using all the composition and color theories we discussed today. Take a picture, and then you can build your portfolio. And also remember that it takes a long time to get there. So like, you need to practice, and if you don't give up, you get there. It's not so hard. Okay, I think, yeah, this is the last slide. Does anyone have any questions or something I've missed out, or they want to know more about some things that might help them further? Anyone can ask me things. So I'm sorry I took up some time. Are flat lays too cliched now? I actually, I've been seeing a lot less of them, or maybe it's just me. But I also have I only have mobile, that's why. Oh no, I think you can totally go for flat lays. I mean, if you have a phone, and I feel flat lays work. I just find flat lays really hard because they seem to fall really flat for me. I feel like if you're going, this is photography, but if you're going for flat lays, always make sure that your lighting is not above, which happens to me often. That's why my flat lays always look so off. You need to have lighting that's on the same level, and that's when your food props up. So shooting during sunset when the sun is low is the best time for flat lays. And it works really well for mobile phones. And no, they're not cliche. I think you should go for it. It's interesting and it's fun, and you get to play around with a lot of color compositions and all of those things, which you probably won't if you're taking like a macro shot, or if you're taking like an eye level. You miss out a lot of those details. Okay, can you explain negative space? Okay, wait, should I turn on the thing again? It will help. Oh no, sharing is stopped. Okay, so negative space is basically the space that's around the subject. A lot of the times, oh my God. Okay, can everyone see my PPT? Yes, no.
Yep.
Yay, okay, cool. Let's go to negative space. Like even in this shot, you can see the negative space is trying to bring up this bun, and the first thing you actually see when you see this shot is this bun and not the filling I worked so hard on, which is a little sad. But it's the space around the subject and not the subject itself. Not sure if that made sense, but wait, let me see chats. Yes. This is great. Thanks. Was wondering, did you understand this, Tanya? I'll go back to my other negative space one. Like this pasta shot uses absolutely negative space. Like you can't even see a person behind, because it's and it's that negative space that's bringing out that snap and bottle, as well as those garlic flakes. And the pasta, of course. Was wondering some of my favorites from the past and current. Oh my God. Current, so many people are good. My favorite current stylist of all time is probably Harshita Basaria. She doesn't put a lot of stuff on Instagram, but she's like I've been on a couple of shoots with her, and it was I was mind blown with the kind of stuff that this woman knows is insane. She's not teaching me, but I was just like learning everything from her. She made I think chicken Manchurian, and I personally would have, like, shallow fried it, not fully fried, shallow fried it, and then dipped it in the curry. But she boiled the chicken, and I was just like, what? And it was right, like it made the chicken so plump, and like you could see that was like really big suddenly. And then she just mixed it, not like just tossed it, not on the stove, but just tossed it in that curry, and it was looking fantastic. Like she really knows what's happening and how to do things. And it's very rare to find a food stylist these days that really knows how to style food for the camera, and food that's not just something that's to be that's edible. One of the biggest problems I face is that whenever I'm making food, I'm like, yeah, this has to be like damn crazy delicious. But that's the kind of mentality you shouldn't have when you're styling, because it should look good, not taste good. And having that mental thought and process is something that's important. Favorites from the past. Oh my God. So many interesting ones are there. I think Andrew Scrivani is great. I think I follow his work a lot. Not, is he past? He's like 2000s. Yeah, 2 decades ago, I guess. That's sad, but yeah. Also really like this unknown kind of style. I didn't catch Harshita Basaria for now, Andrew Scrivani now, and also what's his name? Gareth. Oh my God, Gareth. What's his name? I will wait 1 second. Let me find out. He styled one of the books, Indian Cookery, and it's one of Gareth Morgan. Yeah, it's one of the greatest. I love the styling, and he's completely done it just for Indian food. So that's also. Yeah, that's really hard to find people who can style Indian food as well as he has. So yeah, not a lot of people can. And he's like not Indian, so yes. Is there any more questions? Yeah, James Anson is really nice. I like his stuff. It's very nice, minimalistic sort of approach he has to food, which is nice. He uses some negative space from what I think I can remember, and it really makes things nice. Yeah, I think, yeah, he's the one who uses a lot of negative space. So if Tanya, you can look up his stuff, he does a lot of that. Any more questions? Do you have any additional suggestions while capturing the process of cooking? Are there any major differences to post-cooking clicks? Wait, I don't get it. What? Can you explain? Process of cooking, like when it's in the stove and you're trying to take a photo, or like?
Yeah, like while cooking, like it's like a recipe or something like that.
Wait,
Like, this is like styling the food right now. What you showed was the post cooking part, right? So,
yes.
so do you have any other suggestions for while like clicking photos while cooking?
Yes. Oh, yeah, actually, I do that a lot. I don't know. Actually, that's a very good one. I haven't included it in my PowerPoint at all. I don't know why, but I have lots of photos where I've taken shots of the food happening. My only thing is you need to have really good light for that. I think I can show you some of the photos I've taken. You need to have like gorgeous light. That's the only way you can make it work. Sometimes what I've also done is I've added like the kitchen slab was looking really bad, so I've added a background, but nobody can really tell that it's a background. So you can completely do stuff like that. And if you want, it's nice, it's easier also because you get that messy sort of look happening also. Wait, I'll show you some of mine. Are there more questions meanwhile? Oh, Tanya is telling us that we have a mobile food photography workshop by mid-June. Is this the one by Ashwin? Okay. Yes, it is. So I think if you guys don't follow him, you should see his Instagram because he posts all sorts of BTS of the kind of shots he's doing, and the kind of work he does is really great. And if you're just starting out with lighting, I feel like that's the best person to ask things, because I am a very cheap, fun thrills light person. But yeah, he'll tell you which lights to buy and all of that. This is, can you guys see? This is a process shot of my mom cooking some prawns. I did nothing for this. I just shot it as it was. The lighting was absolutely fantastic, and the smoke was coming through, and literally the only thing I can tell for these things is keep it very natural. Just you kind of just work with the light for this one. Actually, I just realized, Yash, so there are times where I faked an entire kitchen in my bedroom. I cannot believe I just forgot this. I've actually made an entire like fake kitchen, and so people would think that it's in the kitchen because the lighting wasn't that great. So I've actually shifted all of the equipment. So I framed it in such a way so that the stove wasn't there. So it was just the pan and like someone behind it pouring things. So these are things you can do. But if you have like an induction and you want to fake it like that, that also works great. Yeah, that's stuff I've done. Also, Tanya is saying that the Delhi Food Walks would love to have feedback over email after this workshop. So yeah. Okay, wait, let me answer the next one. Maybe not. Compositions. So someone's asking me to talk about the rule of thirds. So basically, like how I've said that the frame is into 3 parts, and both horizontal and vertical, and you want to have like a tic-tac-toe board, and you have to place your subject along the lines, and apparently it's very aesthetically, naturally pleasing to the eye. So always I think almost all of my photos are rule of thirds. In the start one, if you make a diagonal line, the dart is right in the center of that square, and it's touching all of the lines, all of these center points, it's touching the dart. So that is something that you can play around with. Okay. Any more? Otherwise, I'll wrap this session up because I've gone like way overboard time. Sorry, I talked too much today. I think this is it then. Yes. Okay. Yay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Angel. Thank you, Serchi. Thank you for everyone who came and who donated. And I really hope this was helpful. And thank you, Janat, for coming. Yay.